Okay, I'm going to call this conference to order at this time. I want to thank everyone who's present today, those of you who we were able to get word out to with regard to this press conference, which concerns some very vital information related to our church community. I am supported today and backed by a number of ministers and representatives of the Harlem community. And we are here today to address a problem, a growing problem for houses of worship and local businesses as a result of the five-borough bike rally that was held this past Sunday. I'm going to read a short statement that was prepared, that we've prepared, and then I'm going to give some commentary about the seriousness of the matter, after which I'm going to acknowledge some of the representatives who are here to address this concern. We are basically saying that Harlem churches have been denied their First Amendment rights. Harlem churches have been denied their First Amendment rights. Pastors and ministers in the village of Harlem are convening today in this press conference to address the infringement of the freedom of religious rights that are afforded to us by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And that infraction has been committed not only by the city of New York, but also by the organizers and the planners of the five-borough bike rally, in particular the one that was held on this past Sunday. This press conference is being held at Canaan Baptist Church, one of several houses of worship that was drastically affected by the bike rally on this past Sunday. The tour made its annual trek through the village of Harlem, once again impeding the right of churchgoers to attend their places of worship. And for years now, religious leaders have appealed to city officials and tour organizers to give consideration to the Christian Sabbath by rerouting the tour and also discontinue the disruption of access of Christians to their churches each on those Sundays when the rally is held. This past Sunday, the faith community experienced one of the greatest affronts that are afforded to us is the opportunity to gather for worship on Sunday. And that, to us, is an egregious affront to our constitutional right as a religious body to worship. More importantly, the bodies that we are referring to lost significant revenue that these institutions are dependent upon for their survival. And their survival is critical to this community and to this city. It's critical that individuals have the opportunity to come to the places where they find inspiration, the inspiration that gives them the courage, the faith, and the hope that they need to face the difficulties of these days. And so the persistence of the city of New York and the organizers of this bike tour have brought us to this moment where we will no longer tolerate or accept the disruption of this holy day without a significant response from the faith community. And today is only a beginning as we begin this journey toward reconciling that which we have a right to do without the impediment of the very people who are sworn to protect and to serve us. And so I'm joined today by other local ministers. I want to thank Imam Tariq for joining us today from the local mosque here on 116th Street. I also want to thank the Reverend James Kilgore, who joins me along with the Friendship Baptist Church congregation, another church that was affected this past Sunday. Happy to have Reverend Patrick Young, who came over from First Baptist Church in East Elmhurst to be with us. We've got Dr. Marshall from the CME Church in our community, and these are just a few of the congregations that were affected. Now let me say this in brief, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Kilgore to just say a brief word. On this past Sunday, it seems that the organizers and the city actually increased the impediment of congregants to get to their churches. In past years, we have been allowed to pass through the barricades long enough to get to our houses of worship with minimal disruption. But this past Sunday, there was no consideration given at all, not even to senior pastors of their congregations, to get to their churches to begin and carry out their services. This is unacceptable. And so I'm going to ask Reverend Kilgore to come and just share what some of his experiences were, and then I'll come back and we will give you some indication of how we intend to proceed from this point. Reverend Kilgore.
Good afternoon. I want to share with the city of New York that this past Sunday, you made it very difficult for a number of our congregants to make it to worship service on Sunday. In fact, you made it so difficult that one of my elderly members and a young member had to walk 3 long blocks because they refused to allow them access into property that we own in Harlem. We own a parking lot on 130th Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Lenox Avenue. But I also would like to say to the city of New York, it's time for you to take the leap into the 21st century. And that leap is leadership respected. Excellence, we have it. Achievement, we're about it. And pride, we have pride. You don't have to try and take advantage of us. And so until we look forward to seeing the day when we will no longer be encumbered from coming to worship, because we have a First Amendment right to worship our God, and we'll do it to the glory of God. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Kilgore. I'm going to call to the microphone at this time Reverend Dr. Robert Thompson, who is the pastor for community relations, the Canaan Baptist Church, and he will give you instructions from this point.
Thank you so much, Pastor Johnson. Just want to also point out that a lot of the handicapped riders was not also able to come to their houses of worship. So that is an important fact that I wanted to point out as well. Are there any questions that can be raised at this time? Yes, sir. What are our plans to do about it? Pastor Johnson, would you like to?
Well, ultimately, what we would like the organizers and the city of New York to do is reroute the bike rally and maybe in some instances parts of the city marathon to free those who want to exercise their First Amendment right of religious freedom to pass through our public streets and sidewalks to get to those houses of worship. We'd like to have, before anything else, dialogue with the organizers and city officials to work out an amicable plan. Secondly, from here, we go from the very serious problems that are being caused here in the village of Harlem to the other boroughs, where we are discovering that other congregations, Christian congregations, were impacted negatively because of the bike tour and its route. We hope that together we can sit down and work out an amicable plan. If we cannot, then the city needs to understand, the bike organizers need to understand how seriously we take this matter. And many of us, all of us are steeped in the training of my predecessor, like the late Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, Martin Luther King Jr., and others who understood that often power concedes nothing without some type of confrontation. We're not suggesting that there would be any we're not angry about it as much as we are hurt and disappointed that we've not been supported by our public officials. But if some form of public demonstration is required to convey to city officials how serious we are about this matter, then in a Christian manner, we will begin to develop such a plan. Sure. I'm going to ask Wendy Johnson. I'm going to ask Wendy Johnson to come to the microphone and respond to that question.
Good afternoon. I've been in touch with the mayor's office, who referred our request to the Department of Transportation, who suggested to us that the race is held on Sunday due to low traffic volumes and low religious observances, completely neglecting that this is our Sabbath day. I've also reached out to Senator Benjamin's office, who responded to us. I met with the Inspector McIntosh of the 28th Precinct, who was great, but who admitted that we needed to go to 1 pp. I have been in touch with the race folks for over a year, and they promised me that they had a plan in place. They would not articulate what that plan was, but they promised that we would get into our sanctuaries in decency and in order, and that we would not be encumbered, but that was not the case. So we await the next steps. They should get in touch with Pastor Thomas D. Johnson, Sr. of the Canaan Baptist Church, who will be the conduit for getting out information and disseminating information to the other clergy of Harlem. Phone number is area code 212-866-0301. You're welcome. Thank
you. If there are no further questions, this concludes our conference. I would like to thank our brothers in ministry for coming out and supporting this cause. And of course, I'd like to thank the Reverend Dr. Thomas D. Johnson, the senior pastor of the historic Canaan Baptist Church of Christ, for leading this effort. This is not the end. You know, we plan on going forward to have our voices heard. And we thank you so much for the opportunity.